So to just put out kind of my perspective in this whole thing, I believe that, well, first of all, I believe there is something called coronavirus. And so I have no doubt of that. And I kind of believe in the science and so forth. And I believe we're in a marathon that's going to last many months, like 18 to 24 months. And so we've gone through the first couple of steps of a marathon. And I believe as a business owner, it is our job to lead our community, both our business community and the community in which we operate. And we need to give them good information. We need to show them the right way to do it. And we need to work with businesses to do it the right way. Because I think we've all been in businesses where we go, wow, this is really cool. Everyone's wearing masks. They're asking their clients to wear masks. And we've been in businesses where they're trying to pretend that nothing has happened. And I strongly disagree with the latter. I think that is woefully negligent on the behalf of the owners, and they're doing a disservice to everyone around them, including their community. And I think it's going to get our economy shut down faster by people not doing the right thing. Because while we're all starting to open up, it sounds like Texas, Washington, the biggest concern I have for all of us is that we get shut down again. And I don't know how many of us can survive a second round of this. I mean, sure, we've all done a lot of improvement, well, both emotionally and perhaps economically. So that's my perspective. And so what we've done is try to constantly lead and to thank people that are doing it right. I'm not interested in shaming people, but I will tell you I will not shop at places where I do not feel safe and I do not think they're doing it right. So in our store, we are saying masks are required. Now, I'm not kicking people out, and we are only on our second day of being open, but we are handing people masks if they don't wear one and just saying, hey, we have a mask for you. And no matter what, we make them take it. And so far, we've only had 2 people decline. And I did not kick them out because I'm not interested in going down that road. That's my perspective on what we need to do as business leaders. But I'm interested in other people, what they would like from this meeting, questions they have. So why don't I just open this up to whatever you guys want to talk about.
So I'll just say, like, for us, the retail side of things, doesn't affect us. We do have clients who have the opportunity to come in. We haven't had them come in. We've been doing everything by Zoom or whatever needs to be. So what you're going through, Rolf, really hasn't affected us. We are an essential business because we do help people return to work, and that's an important part of life and moving the economy forward and getting people help where they need it. But we've been fortunate enough to be able to do everything strictly online and take very little hit, essentially. So we're just here to see what everybody else is doing and see what we can do to help, essentially.
Sure. And I would just state that you guys go to other businesses.
We do.
You certainly see people that are doing things right, and perhaps
Yes.
people doing things in a way you don't agree with. And I would just encourage that you use both the power of your dollars and also your encouragement. Like, thank you. I really appreciate the sign on the door. I know that must be hard. And
Right.
I appreciate it. And I'm going to make sure I return to this business.
Because of that, yeah.
Because of that. And, other places where the owner, you might say, you know what, I don't think this is wise. I think you're contributing to factors that may end up with us closing again. And I think a lot of this is essential businesses that stayed open and from what I've seen, that seem to be very cavalier about things.
Yeah, I will say I did venture out, what was this? What's today, Friday? So Wednesday night, to a local restaurant, and they were very well prepared. Everybody was wearing masks. Everybody was wearing gloves. They had paper menus that they threw away as soon as you were done with them. They were constantly, all staff, wiping down door frames or anything that people touch consistently. And because of that, we called back yesterday at work and ordered from them and told them, hey, look, the reason we're doing this is because one of us had come to your business and you guys were really taking this seriously and we appreciate that. So we're going to continue to support that. So what you're saying is true.
I love that,
And
Nicole.
it works. Yeah.
And I know that that's something you guys have always taken seriously. And, I think that's sort of an offshoot of the EOS management stuff that you do.
Yes. Yeah.
Is very much that. But what about...
One moment, Rolf. I'm going to cut you off.
Sure.
We're gonna let someone else in here. We just saw.
Well, don't we get to vote?
I'm
All
voting
right.
you off the island. One moment.
Hi, dear. How's your mom?
Or is that our doorbell?
Hello, Tony.
Hey, how you doing, Rolf?
Excellent. Tony, you're kind of coming in a little bit in the middle. Can you tell us a bit about yourself?
You can just start over if you want.
No, I don't.
No, I wound up doing some stuff with Keith Lee, and he invited me. And
Absolutely.
We do a couple different things. One is an accounts receivable service. We work with a lot of community banks on their overdrafts and things. It's not a collection agency, but it's a totally unique automated system that costs them 5 cents on the dollar. The other thing I do is I have a cost segregation service, which you may have seen the Lemonade email that Keith sent out about cost segregation and saving our clients anywhere from 5 to 7% of their building cost on their income taxes. It reduces their income taxes by increasing depreciation expense.
Huh,
So that's what
how
we do.
interesting.
Yep.
Fascinating. So the people who are with us, we have Lori, who is with a food bank. And I'm sorry, Tony, where are you located?
New Orleans.
Okay. We have Lori, who's located in Ellensburg, Washington, the state, and she is with a food bank. And we have Nicole, who is with Eastside Vocational here in Ellensburg. And she is a vocational rehabilitation vendor. So she works with the state helping people get back to work. And then we have Chris, who also is a Keith Lee person. And she has a music lesson business in Texas.
Interesting.
So we have an interesting cross-section, both of the business categories and I think of our nation. So we were just opening it up. I had mentioned how strongly I feel that as business owners, we need to be leaders in our communities and encouraging people to do things correctly, especially other businesses to do things correctly and to take things seriously and to operate in a way that will allow us to stay open and not endanger people. And I will throw out something I should have mentioned earlier. I think trust is the entire key to this. And I think it's been sadly lacking from almost all aspects of how we have gone through this. And I think as business owners, we can be the place that they can go to and trust. Because when they know us, they trust us to do business with in the past. And they're going to have trust that we're going to keep them safe as we go forward. But I also think they can trust us to give them information that's truthful and so forth. So I am really big on trying to figure out how to rebuild trust, both in my community and with my team and with my clients.
Yeah, the truth is easy to dispense if you have the facts. And the problem is, I don't think anybody really knows the true facts right now. That's a problem.
I think there are some facts, and I think there's also a great deal of misinformation, just like there has been through everything. I mean, whether it's politics or whatnot, it really depends on where you get your information from. And I don't really do anything on social media, but I'm told by my wife that there's some really interesting things out there. And we've heard about them. But so if I were just going to say the truth from my perspective is, one, there is something called coronavirus. It's a respiratory disease, and it is spread from water droplets from one person to another. It is somewhat spread on surfaces, but not exclusively, and not certainly to the degree that most people have taken it on or thought about it. And it also lives longer on hard surfaces as opposed to paper and things like that, where it has a much shorter life. But those are the things I know and that I believe to be truths. And I believe that wearing a mask is something that responsible people do, because masks protect other people from you and your water droplets, and their masks protect me from them. So I don't know, everyone has their own opinion of the truth, I guess, which is interesting to say, but that's mine. That's where I stand.
That's pretty
I'm curious.
close.
How do other people feel? Am I off base here?
This is Lori, and I'm 100% everything that's come out of your mouth. I avoid the big FM store at the west end of Water Street like the plague, but even the littler places I'm going now, by Mart. I mean, I feel like I'm getting dirty looks, and I just put my head down now and try not to look at anybody and get what I need to get and get out.
And you're saying that you wearing a mask is making you feel that way?
It is.
Yeah.
And it
Yeah.
could be me, but sometimes it's pretty obvious. Actually, one of the places I've been where they've been two places, one is Cenex gas station, their gloved mask, wiping things down, keypads, and the other is grocery outlet. And they seem to be very conscious and masked up. So just FYI.
How about you, Chris? Does this resonate with you, or do you think we're a little off base?
No, it completely resonates with us. And just like you said, anyone can come up with information they found out there somewhere about how we're either going overboard or we're crazy to, even come back in or take any ventures outside our home and all that kind of stuff. So one of the things I was wondering about is helping, and I love this word trust. I wrote this down huge. This is my new word for this coming week is trust. I want our employees to trust us.
Yes.
We are in the position where we're delivering a personalized service. So when people come in for their piano lesson, they want their teacher either online or in person. It's very different than having someone just helping them at a customer service desk or on the phone. And so since we're dealing with individuals giving a personal service, having them trust us that it is okay to come in or whatever. Who else is dealing with something like that where key employees, which would be a person who is essential to deliver the product in person because your customer is expecting that personalized service. How are you helping them feel okay about coming back on campus? And now next week, well, starting June 8th, we are having summer camps with little kids in the building. And the families do not want to mask their kid up for 8 hours a day in the building. So that means my other teachers who are there starting at 3 o'clock teaching, a ukulele lesson are going to see little kids running around the place without, well, not running, but you know what I mean. So anyway, who else has key employees that they're hoping they can ask for them to trust us?
Well, I'll jump in just to say that I think, especially now, almost all of our employees, or as I call them, team members coming from Keith Lee, are essential. And I think it's what we do as business owners, and how, just like everything in management and whatever it is, if you don't follow through yourself personally, if it's just the fad of the day, then people aren't going to trust you, right? And trust isn't something that trust is such a fragile thing. It is something you earn from others. It's something that leaders earn. You don't create it. It's something you earn, and people give you their trust. And once you break it, I don't think you ever get it back. I could go on for hours about trust, and I'm sure we all could, about how fragile it is and how precious it is, and how really it's in the end all you've got. You know, people say it's my name or whatever, my reputation, but all of that is trust.
I'll just add that we don't have a problem here. We can see our clients via Zoom, and that's okay. And that's considered cooperation with them. But because they are injured, they do need to eventually go to the doctor and check in with their doctor and figure out what's going on. And so we've been working with them and how to do that safely and appropriately, to go to their doctor's office, because a lot of them are very scared to venture out, especially to their AP, the attending provider's office, not knowing what they're going to find. And so that's been our biggest thing, is just trying to help them understand that it's okay to go there as long as they do the appropriate things.
It's very interesting. It's something that I don't necessarily have a good pulse on, is what is the fear in our communities, because that's going to prevent all of us from the economic benefits that we would like.
Yeah, definitely.
Lori, anything you would like to add?
No, there really hasn't been any progress since last week as far as us opening. Phase 2 just is not going to work for my program. Pushing some tables together and trying to be 6 feet apart, trying to get older folks, sorry, Rolf, me too. But trying to, come in, you got a mask, you got to use some hand sanitizer, you got to, I don't know, we're nowhere close. So I'm kind of at a standstill, and that's it.
Yeah, and I think that it is important for each business to analyze what they can and can't do. And just because you're in phase 2 and you can do something doesn't mean you should.
And what is Lori doing again?
I run a Meals on Wheels program, senior. So at one point we had a dining hall where we fed folks that just were hungry from the street, homeless maybe, whatever, and then combined with the seniors from the senior nutrition program, and that everything just went away, of course, in March. And so now we home deliver to everyone, and the folks that were hungry and on the street are, by hook or by crook, they're getting fed, not only one day a week by us. So that's what I do.
Well, that's good. That's good. Yeah, no, my son has a restaurant, and he went through some difficult times, and he wound up having he got involved with the church, and he said, listen, I'll donate profits. So he kept people on board by having pop-ups. He took a trailer from his restaurant to the church. He took it to another restaurant friend of his. On certain days, he would be there outside for his barbecue deal. And now he's opening up, and he had everything all set up, and they changed the rules. Not only is it 6 feet apart, if you have tables, you had to have 12 feet or 10 feet behind you, because the waiters and waitresses had to walk through. So, I mean, a lot of crazy rules, but I think for the most part, most of the businesses are doing their best to comply. And yet there's some individuals, like you said earlier, somebody said that, she gets dirty looks for wearing a mask, which is crazy.
Absolutely. And Tamara, I know you're kind of jumping in the middle of this conversation, but could you share a little bit about who you are, where you are?
Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Indeed.
Okay. Yeah, I'm up in Upper County, and I actually do real estate. So I'm just trying to keep my finger in what's happening, what you guys are feeling, how I can help support.
Very good. So we have people from all over the country here. So Tamara's referring to being in Kittitas County, which is in the middle of Washington State. And it sounds like she's in the real estate business. Tony, how has this affected your business?
Well, for the accounts receivable business, I'm actually putting on a webinar as soon as I get it done for our accounts receivable service, because a lot of the dentists and doctors we deal with, they're reluctant. They're empathetic about people. We don't know who lost their job or what the situation is. So I'm trying to put something in on how to get the communication flowing and collect during difficult times, because if you don't have the money, there's nothing you can do. So you want to keep the communication flowing, at least know what their situation is, and work with them on whatever level. And there's the other folks that, like I would assume you and I, that can go on just paying their bills and ask them to help out, because the cash flow situation for those doctors and dentists is still important. So for that business, we took a pretty big hit so far for a couple of months. We're down about 60%. However, the cost seg business, that goes on. People are paying their taxes, and if they got buildings, as a matter of fact, it's really important because that the new CARES Act now allows people who are having a rough time this year to go back up to 5 years and recoup taxes paid from 2014 to now. So if you can create a loss, that hasn't really been affected. As a matter of fact, we bumped that up quite a bit. But that's the two different aspects I'm dealing with. One's good, one's not so good.
Yeah, and I think again, it kind of comes down to reinventing your business and having lots of things in your toolbox so that you can pull out something to stay in business. I know we were down close to 50%, but we were bringing in cash. And I know when I talk to people that work with independent retailers, they say 90% of them haven't made $1. They had no online presence. They have not made $1.
Wow.
And I don't know how you recover from that. And when you talk about accounts receivable, that is something that 75% of our business is in accounts receivable. So I had like $80,000 coming into this that was owed to me. And, if people don't decide to pay you, you're done. And I've been just shocked at how good people have been. There certainly are higher past due accounts, but just shocked that people paid us anything. And how do you make those phone calls in this new environment is just interesting.
Yeah, I was actually involved in that somewhat as a controller for a Fortune 500 company before I went into business for myself back in 1980. But I think people are inherently honest. Yeah. They want to pay. Absolutely. And it's a matter of what one of my salespeople used to say, the totem pole of payments. So the rent's going to get paid, the car's going to get paid, the phone's going to get paid. And then you got to try to sneak in there ahead of the cable company or the football tickets, which people somehow, well, I got to have my football ticket, so I can't pay you, but it's for services previously provided or products. It's crazy how some of the logic works, but you just try to get enough impact to move yourself up in the poll and do it diplomatically.
And we've been talking about the word trust. I wonder if that doesn't also play into that, because you tend to want to pay people you trust, because that's a two-way street. Talk about trust as accounts receivable. And really all of our businesses are built on trust. We trust in all of this because it's all kind of a made up process in business, and we just assume that this will work. And it's amazing. It's actually a miracle that things have gone as well as they have, I think.
Well, I have a question to throw out when there's a chance for it.
Yeah, please.
My question for all of you would be, what is the biggest reinvention or innovation that you've made as a business owner, manager, anything in that, in order to survive this first wave?
Anyone want to jump in first?
Well, that one thing that I'm doing is doing that webinar to try to help people understand the best way to take care of the receivables, et cetera, without ruining relationships. So that's one thing. And the other one is just pumping out mail. And I'm like, as a matter of fact, we talked about Keith. I did a little joint venture thing with him to introduce our other service. And I'm doing the same thing with a couple other people who have lists of folks to reach out, because people aren't going to make personal calls. So if we can introduce them through our other service or other people, it's sort of a mutual benefit. So those are two things that we've done.
And just a quick kind of side note, I think you're going to find that myself, Chris, and Tony are probably very strong marketers, and we really look at marketing as being a lot of our job because we come from Keith Lee, who that's the backbone of what he teaches.
Mm-hmm.
So Chris, would you like to jump in and tell us about what you think the biggest reinvention was? I think I already know, but.
Well, yeah, our whole team, we put many, many things into place. And let's just say this, you know, this has been a huge test, if you ask me, about what has maybe not been working so great that you've just sort of been letting coast. And now we've got the opportunity to jump in and change something. And this is a great reason to do it. One of the things we do is run a preschool and kindergarten during the day, during the school year, for ages 3 to 5, which is high academics through the performing arts. And, you know, it's been up and running for 10 years, blah, blah, blah. Well, it was time for a facelift. So talk about marketing. We went ahead and changed the name, new website, sent out these big, huge packets and information to everybody on the planet. Yesterday, I did a Facebook Live interview with one of the online newsletter kind of places here all about it. We are, we've got a marketing guy in-house now, and he's only been with us starting last February anyway. And so he's been doing all these, updating all these videos to make it look like it's this new name of the school and everything. So we took that opportunity to do that. And that's huge marketing. Also, the other big, huge thing that we've done is, and it probably was a Keith Lee thing, staying in touch with your current customers, making sure, and this goes along with your theme of trust, right? Calling them, hey, how's it going? And telling them the new stuff coming up or anything, just making sure that you are still with them. We're sending out our same newsletters, but guess what? We changed the format of the newsletters and gave that a facelift. So that's something else that we slapped a new look on it. And that gives people a reason to take a look at it again. If it was just something that they received and they're, man, that's the same old newsletter or whatever. But really personally calling and reaching out individually with our admin team to each of our 1,200 families that were enrolled at our school. We lost about 30% due to a million of their reasons that they decided online lessons weren't for them. But that's okay. They'll be back, I hope. And we are on a school year, so our big push is starting in August. But summer's going to be a tough one for us. So anyway, yeah, all that great hands-on stuff that we did, taking that opportunity to rebrand our preschool. I'm actually in the middle of writing a ballet curriculum. So during the downtime, I poured on the steam and got everything rolling with my graphic artist and my book layout person and blah, blah, blah. So I took the time to put, so now that's ahead of schedule now from where it was. And I don't know, we've found people wanting to upgrade with us. That's the other part we've been pushing. Current families that now they've got nothing to do but be at home. Why doesn't mom take up piano now? Why don't we add little Johnny on drums, whatever. And so all that kind of stuff, and taking advantage and not being shy about it. Sometimes I'm on these kind of, workshops, webinars, and people are like, wow, I don't know if it's the right time to ask people and bother them about it because they're probably going through all these trying times. They love you. They want to hear from you. So we have very, very minimally had any pushback from us contacting people. They're always, oh yeah, you guys, yeah, let me tell you what's going on. And they want to tell us all the COVID stuff they've been hearing and blah, blah, blah. And we'll say, hey, well, we're here. We got this going. So anyway, that's what we've been doing.
I think that's brilliant. I know I wrote down calling because we need to reach out to our best clients and let them know we're open and find out how they're doing and stuff. And I don't think if, you know, as us marketers always say, if you're giving them something of interest, they're not going to resent it. And they're desperately bored at the moment. And nobody else is reaching out to them to see how they're doing, to ask, see if they have any questions, all of that kind of stuff. I think that's great. And we stopped our newsletter just because we were so busy doing other things, but we're going to start that back up again. Let's see, Lori, I think the original question was, what have you done? What's the biggest thing you've done to reinvent your business?
I'm going to fix launch.
Oh boy. I had early in the year purchased what's called a Oliver machine, which is like an industrial size seal meal. And so we were kind of testing the waters with it. And then thank God we had it and the stuff that we needed to produce the frozen meals. And we were able just to turn it into a to-go business. The sad and happy part for us was folks that were bored, were recruited and came forth and offered to deliver the meals. So we provided, I think a lot of it through you, Rolf, was hand sanitizer, gloves, masks, anything they needed for in their car to deliver the meals safely. And so I would say for us, our biggest reinvention was we really can put out 900 meals in 4 days, and we somehow made it work. So for us, that's the biggest. How we're going to go forth, I'm still in a conundrum. So thank you for listening.
It's interesting how you take the tools you have and you find a way to use them in the new environment. I think we've all done that. Tamara, is there anything you would like to jump in and mention from your perspective?
Yes, absolutely. So I've been in real estate almost 20 years, and I ran an office and helped agents through the real hard time in 07 and 08. And this has been a perfect time to take that because real estate is so local. I only work in 3 counties, and in this time we've been locked in and not able to leave. So I've had to make it more broad. So I've done some coaching classes, and I help agents and just small business owners through the whole United States figure out how to refocus, and through, you know, free sample coaching, or people actually subscribe to figure out how to make it through this time and how to think of ways outside the box to grow their business. So I've had to take something that is normally a narrow scope and narrow location and make it more broad.
Excellent. Thank you for sharing your insights. I see that Kevin has joined us. Kevin, you want to say hello and let people know briefly about what you do and where you're located? We do have people from all across the U.S. on this call.
Perfect. I'm Kevin Smith. I'm the general manager of Rosso's Utotem. We are a 50-plus-year-old burger, I guess, a drive-through burger restaurant in Ellensburg, Washington.
And you have been going gangbusters through all of this. You're one of the winners.
I don't know that it's a winner. I think that we were just fortunate enough that many, many, many years ago, they had the insight that a drive-through burger establishment was going to be the right way to go. And so we are taking it and run with it.
We appreciate you joining us. We've been going around just answering the question was, what is the biggest change or reinvention you have done in your business? And I think I'll let Nicole go ahead and answer that question, Kevin, but then we'll come back to you.
Perfect.
Nicole, anything you would like to add?
Yeah, so we've been doing a lot of the things you guys have been doing with our clients, you know, checking in with them as consistently as possible, as often as possible. But one thing that I think is important that we've also done is within house. So we have we have what we call an EVS social Zoom webinar every week. We meet for an hour and a half. We talk about our professional bests, our personal bests. We have a fun question to answer, and then we just discuss how we feel, how we're doing, just learning from each other what we can do with our clients and what we can do to help anybody. And it's been extremely helpful, just in general. So I think that if you can communicate with your staff on a weekly basis about their feelings and their thoughts, it's really good.
Well, thank you. It makes me think of a third word. So I've written down so far opportunity, trust, and now I'm thinking empathy.
Yeah.
Remembering that your team all has stuff they're dealing with at home. All of your clients have stuff. It's not just you.
Yep.
We need to remember that empathy towards everybody we run into, even the people that we may not agree with. They've got their own perspective and their own issues they're working through. Your turn, Kevin. Uh-oh. I think you need to unmute yourself, sir.
This is the first time I've done this via my phone, so bear with me. What was the generalized question? I'm sorry, Rolf, forgive me.
What has been the biggest change or reinvention you have done in your business due to COVID-19?
Being honest, it is, we have multiple ways that we service our customers here. We have a walk up, a drive up. We have a lobby that is being unused right now. We have telephone service also. And getting, basically, I guess the thing that we've had to really kind of focus on is, and I'll go back to the empathy thing, is making sure that not only are my employees being safe, which, safety is always in your forefront when you're running a facility, but now it's a step further because this is an invisible threat, I guess is the best way to put it. And making sure that we're keeping the employees safe, we're keeping the customers safe, and but making sure that people understand why we don't have a lobby, communicating that forward, why we can't have outdoor seating is I guess maybe it wasn't really a challenge question, but getting them to understand why we are doing or not doing what we're doing, I guess. So I hope that kind of answers the question. We communicate a lot with our staff. We're a smaller staff. We have 11 people, and it is mostly done via text group or me just popping in throughout different shifts if I'm not there at that time, and just checking in with them, offering the masks, making sure that we have multiple types of masks. Thank you, Rolf, for getting those for us. And if they don't feel comfortable, figure out how we make it better for them.
Thank you. So does anyone have a question or a comment they'd like to throw out to the group at this point?
I apologize. I'm sorry I got in so late. I wish I would have been able to been here earlier. So I feel bad for joining late, but I appreciate the opportunity to, and I hope we continue to do this in the future to, grow and learn and gain ideas and maybe share ideas.
So I'll put it out there one more time because, of course, I have an agenda, so I'm glad to keep going. Does anyone have anything specific that they would like to bring up?
No.
Yeah, not really. I think we've hammered it out about as much as we can at this point, but not that we're not open to new ideas.
So we're in Central Washington. We're in phase 2 now. What can we do to support the local businesses in the area?
So my answer to that is, obviously there's the financial part, but one, I would support the businesses that you think are doing business correctly and in doing business in a way that is going to help everybody stay open and stay healthy and prevent a second wave, which I think is inevitable. I don't think there's any way you can prevent a second wave. I mean, you think about how many people have gotten this compared to the general population, and that you just do the numbers, and there's, but I think it's, let's see, I probably lost my train of thought there. So I'll open it up to everybody. I mean, there's the financial aspect for sure.
Yeah, I'd say,
You talked about staying above board, above the line. I think that's part of it too, potentially. Your kindness thing. Do you remember that?
Well, I mean, for me, I think, and Lori mentioned this, everyone's wearing a mask, which one feels incredibly weird for us as Americans. And for all kinds of internal and external and political statements or not and so forth. But I think showing that you're happy, learning how to smile with your eyes, and learning that you can still smile and people can see it through a mask. I have been extra outgoing in saying, hey, how's it going? Hi, how are you? Great to see you. Just letting people know that we can still be the friendly American, I don't want to get down the American route, but the friendly people that we've always been. Just because you're wearing a mask doesn't mean that should stop. And I just think that's really important. And thanking people for wearing masks, thanking people for working. Anybody else have a comment there in regards to the question of how to support local businesses? I guess complying to what they ask you to do too. You know, if they ask you to wear a mask, please wear a mask.
yeah, no, just getting out and supporting the people. I mean, visit the restaurants, whether it's a drive-through or, you know, a sit-down restaurant, whatever we can do to keep the business going. I mean, that's what runs the country, and that's one of the biggest worries that I have. Thank goodness they got a phase 2 and hopefully phase 3 that we're going to get the economy rolling again. So just like you said, support your local economy and get out there and try to be as normal as possible and yet safe and following the rules.
I would also, oh, go ahead, Tamara.
I thought what Rolf said was really good, though, supporting the businesses that are following the guidelines. Because, of course, we're going to go out and support businesses and get money out there and take clients out, but it's so much better and if you know which ones are actually following the guidelines. I think that was great. So thank you for that.
Yeah, and I would also add, not everybody has the means, but if you can, don't just think about the business, but think about the people that are actually working for the business. Maybe throw a little bit of an extra tip out there, you know, an extra smile if you see them around town. Make sure you're like, hey, you know, thanks. Like, they really are working super hard and just trying to do what they can to stay afloat. So I've been very lucky, and so I just take that extra 5% and add to it, or 10%, or whatever I can do that time. I think that's important too. So
Good idea. I'm sorry, I have some workmen here. I'm gonna have to bail out, but I do appreciate the time and I hope to chat with you all again.
So Tony, we'll be doing this every Friday at 10 until people stop wanting to show up. So please share the information with anyone who would be interested in joining. Nicole will put this out on our Facebook. And if you want to email me, my email is Rolf. Well, you can, Nicole, if you don't mind sharing that over there in the chat part. Shoot me an email so I can make sure to remind you to come. But thanks, Tony. I appreciate meeting you and look forward to a further conversation.
Sounds good. So long.
Well, I had one idea about supporting people in the community. Okay. Well, we were very careful during all of this not to cancel any of our vendors. In other words, we didn't turn off services that we had engaged with previously unless it was absolutely necessary. One example is our cleaning crew. We were dark for about 5-6 weeks. In other words, no one was in our building. We didn't have kids in and out. I don't need my cleaning service. My deep cleaners come 3 times a week. And of course we do all the cleaning personally, you know, in between all that kind of stuff, but we just kept them going. And we didn't want to say, oh, you know, let's reduce down to just once a week now until we're back up and running, because we want to support them. So we were able to do that, and I feel pretty good about that.
That's awesome.
Same. And another thing, we kept that not necessarily going because they weren't allowed to be here, but the payment still kept going to them regardless. But also keep in mind, like your office supplies, things like that. When you can support local, that's always great. And kind of take that into consideration too. Don't necessarily outsource to the bigger companies.
So we are approaching the end of 1 hour, and I do want to kind of keep it within an hour for everybody. Again, my main goal here is just to spread the word that as business owners and managers, it is our responsibility to operate safely and to lead our communities with truthful information and to develop trust so that people feel they can come into our businesses and other businesses, and most importantly, that we do the things that keep the economy open and not pretend that it's business as usual. It is not business as usual, and we're in a marathon. And so I just hope everyone leaves thinking, how can I lead my community? How can I go out and talk to my team, my clients, the community in general, and show people what's right? And usually what's right isn't what's easy. But you know in your soul when you do it right. And I think that this is the ultimate time for small businesses to do the right thing for the communities they operate in.
Totally agree.